All right. Hello, Sasha. How are you?
Very good at that.
Beautiful.
Doing good during these very strange times.
Strange times. Yes, we all know. But well,
Yes.
there's a horizon, and actually, we're painting a beautiful horizon. So I'm very honored of sharing this experience with you, and uh, and I think that actually these times that we are living uh, sets a good frame for sharing something like this. The first time that I
Hmm.
worked with you was online, and for me was a very strong experience that changed my mind, my perception of time, space, sexuality, so many layers that actually is from all the experience that I have been through is this is of the one that through the experience brought me more understanding of the energy world. So
Yes.
it's and actually this kind of experiences sparked the project of Love Academy, which is about that with the energy of love to understand energy, vibrations, frequency, and it's as I told you, it's a honor to share this and to do it now in a collective way. And so I would like to hear from your side what those people can expect and maybe to give a bit more of context on how a work like this from using Zoom as a platform, it will be.
Yeah. Well, first, let's talk about what it is before we even get into understanding how it would work on something like a Zoom platform. And I want to give a little bit of a background of where I'm coming from and my intention of creating Energy Tune as an offering for humanity. Really, is for me, it's a service to humanity. And that is that, just like you said, you started Love Academy because you felt that you wanted to create something that promoted the vibration of love on the planet. And the challenge for many of us nowadays is that we really don't even know what love is. We have some idea of what love looks like in Hollywood movies, in the media, and how it's portrayed, but that is not love at all. That's just romantic ideas merged with a bunch of conflict and betrayal, and we call that love. And that's, when we say I love this person, it is so far from the true vibration of love, because what is love? Love is unconditionalness. Love is a state. Love is living life from a place of full acceptance, care, compassion. It is everything that is beautiful about humanity. So now coming back to the experience of why this is so essential for people, and then we're having this conversation, and we're going to be having this Energy Tune for Love Academy during some very interesting times that are happening globally with this so-called pandemic, which is very far from being a pandemic and very much an extension of all the deception and lies that we are fed consistently, peaking in a certain moment of time to do two things: take us down a very, very wrong path, and or take us down the right path. And that right path for me is the waking of humanity into their divinity, into their power, and into a love vibration. This is what we need more than ever, because and I don't want to go so much into what is going on with this whole pandemic, because there are so many expert scientists, doctors, and people talking on the subject that can articulate it with their research and statistics in a much deeper way than I ever could. However, looking at the whole global picture, what I see is that humanity is in a place of disempowerment. And we have been like this for years. It's just that the slave culture that has been created is one that we have accepted because of all the little gifts and privileges that we as slaves get, so we continue on with it. And now it's almost like there's a halt to even these gifts, so-called gifts, these privileges, where humanity gets to reevaluate their life, look at their life, and recognize that how things have been going does not work for us as a culture, as a society, and as a humanity. And while all of this is happening, the level of disempowerment that we have been tricked into and the level of fear that we carry is incredible in the way that we have been tricked out of recognizing our divinity. So, what is the truest weapon for us in going against these lies, going against the deception, in really standing up for our human rights? What is the truest weapon? Well, the truest weapon is love. Love empowers humanity in the greatest way, and that is why so much of the work that I do is focused on sexuality, because for me, sexuality and sex, this is not about pleasure per se. This is about using it as a tool for empowering us and for bringing us back to a frequency of love. Love and sex are one and the same. We are sex, we are love, we are divine, we are truth. We are all of those beautiful things that we have been disconnected from, or the illusion of disconnected from those things, because we are them. And we've taken on all this propaganda and all of these other beliefs about who we are, which is now a normalization of living in a state of dis-ease, living in a state of fear, and living in a state of insecurity and scarcity in so many different ways. So, as you know, I've been doing this work for many, many years. It's been probably a decade and a half now. And so much of the work that I do is about sex, and it's about using our orgasmic response and the power of our sexual energy for spiritual development, for removing toxicity from the body, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, just cleansing us of all of this garbage that we take on to reclaim ourselves, to create enough space for this divinity to be our navigation force, rather than all the conditioning and the trauma and unprocessed feelings. So, as you know, and you know, the people that watch this, of course, can do a little bit of research, although there's not a lot of information online, but they can find enough things to get a little taste of what I've been doing. That type of orgasmicness as a healing modality was used in a certain type of energy work that I do, whether that was in person or by phone, like with yourself. And that was many years when we connected for that energy work session. And then an extension, doing it into workshops. But when it comes to energy, there is no time and space. The same way that I work in the same room as somebody physically with their body, the same way that I can do it by phone, just like you had your experience, and the same way that I can do it with many people in a group, in a workshop, where they're all having this experience, although we're all in the same room. It also works if we're all in individual places, separated, because for one, we are all one, we are all connected. And it's not just us. This whole matrix of reality is one ball of energy. And that energy can be worked with from any given point and have an impact on any given point. In fact, something that I just did with a friend of mine on a Zoom call when me and him connected, I told him, raise your hand up. And I want to actually encourage all of you guys to try this as well, because it's quite mind-blowing. But I told him, raise your hand up. Alan, actually do it on the call with me. Raise your hand up. And as you know, when in the workshops that I do in person, I'm always trying to demystify this whole concept of energy work and taking the woo-woo out of it and recognizing that it's a very physical presence. It's a physical sensation. It's a physical force. So in the workshops, we'll play with partners, energetically moving our hands across. So Adan, with your hand there, see if you can feel this, just taking very much note of your hand. And as I move my hand this way, you can truly feel. Can you feel that?
Yes.
You can feel it as if I'm there in the room with you, but now we're in totally two
Yeah.
different parts of the world. And again, the people watching this don't have to believe us. Call a friend, try it with a friend, and you get to see that there's so much magic to our reality, what I call the naturalness to our human experience. And
Hmm.
we have been so unnatural that these very simple natural things we look at as something being supernatural. So because energy has no limitation to time and space, then these types of experiences that I would create for people that would really bring them to a place of power, whether in a private session or a workshop or a retreat, now we can do it in a much more global scale. And that had been my intention for so long, of creating this offering that could have it be more accessible to people. And why? We need to all collectively vibrate higher as one. That is what Energy Tune is about, vibrating higher as one. So that means that we will all go through experiences to reclaim our power, to use the orgasmic response, this activation, this transmission, what I'm calling this energetic tuning it from a place of fear, from a place of chaos, from a place of constriction, to a place of expansion, openness, love, compassion, and power. Recognizing that there's nothing to fear. We are divine beings with infinite possibilities. And the state of fear that we live in is a facade, it's an illusion, it is insanity that we were taught and we take on, and just as easily as we took it on, we can put it down. So as far as doing it with a Zoom call, and I'm so glad you reached out to really kind of push this offering into being offered in this way, because these times now, looking at how people are responding to this pandemic situation, for me is the biggest push ever. Because when there is love, there is no fear. When we function out of the power of our hearts, out of the power of our love, fear cannot exist in a state of love. The two do not function together. So if we can collectively bring people to the resonance, to the vibration of love, they will be the seeds planted all across the world to elevate how we are vibrating and start to break down the illusion of the fear and the illusion of power that governs our world, that truly has no power. So on a very practical explanation of how this works, for the session that we'll be doing for Love Academy, and for the sessions that we do in Energy Tune, there will be some communication, there will be an intention, there will be a slight explanation, really, of where I'm coming from. Why are we doing this? What's going on for humanity? What are we carrying in our bodies? Does all of this make sense? And then taking them through a process where they can start to have their power, reclaim them. And when I say that, and then you know it from your own experience in the session and in workshops that you've attended, that power is unstoppable. When that power comes into the body, all of the insecurities, all the feelings of unworthiness, all the doubts, all of that fades away. And it's an interesting concept because all of us chase power. All of us chase pleasure. All of us want more out of life. And yet, oftentimes, we're actually scared of more pleasure, of more power, and of all of those amazing things that are available to us at any moment. So to really do it, having an energetic experience to create the space for this purification, to let go of that which no longer serves us and make space for everything that life wants to gift us with. And what does that mean to how we relate sexually? Well, most of us cannot connect sexually in a powerful way because of so much baggage that we bring into the bedroom. As I said, these unprocessed feelings, this trauma, the conditioning, there's just so much extra in the room that just to relax, to feel, to enjoy, seems like a very far-fetched idea for a lot of people. And the fact that our lifestyle habits in so many different ways have created the environment where most people are functioning at a very low amounts of energy. So how can you even have the oomph, the energy, the power to make some strong adjustments in your life when you don't have the gas? You know, it's like you've got a beautiful car, but your battery's running on dead. So it's getting that spark, getting that battery jump started so that you can really enjoy the power of your vehicle and the power of being able to go where you want, how you want to, when you want to, in the direction of your life that is destined for you in this lifetime. And with that, our ability to feel expands exponentially, meaning that when we connect sexually, our capacity to feel pleasure, our capacity to feel intensity, our capacity to actually show up energetically to create this other energy that's created between two beings that now becomes this healing and powerful force, not just for our own individual lives, but a rippled out effect. People really fail to understand that this whole experience is a spiritual, energetic experience. Nothing is truly solid. So even when we're making love individually in our own houses with no one to see, you are changing the vibration of the planet if that love making is the vibration of love and healing. And think about also how much programming we carry sexually and how violent sex has become. And I'm not talking about violence like from the most blatant way where you have to feel like someone's raping you or abusing you, although there's a lot of that going on as well. I'm talking about the violence on the body because we have become so unnatural in how we connect sexually. Whenever we're doing that in our houses, whenever we're speaking in an unloving way with our partner, with our family, with our loved ones, that's the ripple effect. What are we growing? What are we seeding? What are we nourishing individually, which is a big aspect of the collective? And how do we start to nourish the beauty, the compassion, the love, to have that be the ripple effect? This is what Energy Tune is about. Energy Tune is about us doing our individual work to vibrate higher individually and therefore vibrating higher collectively. That is going to burst the bubble of the illusion of fear and of all of this false power that has been overshadowed upon humanity.
How do you recommend, in the sense of in the session, in the energy tune, about the mindset? Because one, some people might have expectations. Two, some people maybe would like to manifest something. Third, somebody might not know what to think. Or fourth, maybe you just not need to think on anything. So what's your suggestion on what's the best way on mind-wise to dive energy tune session?
So a couple things. One is, I don't want to say too much about it. I will share a few things when we connect for the call. And the reason being is that I don't want people to have expectations. Whenever we have an expectation, and we already know this goes for everything in our lives. Every time that we go into any experience with an expectation, life is so beautiful. It says, sweetheart, don't live your life like this. This is not how you play the game of life. So we always have to move in life with an open mind, from a place of relaxation. Now, I am not telling anybody to believe anything that I say 100%, but be like a child. The child mentality is one that doesn't know, but it also doesn't think that it doesn't think that it knows, but it doesn't think that it doesn't know. It's just there with a curiosity to explore experience and know through experience. So if there's any mindset, it's to have the mindset of a child, of curiosity, of play. And what I also really want to emphasize here, because it's important, is don't go into this, let me put it this way, go into it with a playful, childlike mind. But don't do this because you're curious. Just curious. You know, when people say, oh, I just want to have this experience. Well, why? What's your intention? I'm just curious. No. This is not the type of work where you come to play, to pretend, to not show up. This is the kind of work where you come because you really want some transformation for your life. And you are going to show up for that. And you're going to show up to feel whatever comes up. And you're going to have the courage to face yourself because you are going in there to work to have real transformation. You know, there's a lot of different types of meditation practices, breathing practices, all kinds of things available in the world. Even now with the online stuff, this is not one of those. Because what will happen as a direct response to your experience really transforms. So therefore, please go into it because you're ready for that transformation. You're ready to have the veil be peeled back. You're ready to see your shadows. You're ready to see your joys. You're ready to make the changes that Spirit asks of you after these types of sessions. That you're going into it because you actually want change. And not because you're just thinking, well, I'm in quarantine and I so-called quarantine. House arrest is a better word. But so you're not thinking, okay, I'm at home and I don't have anything else to do. I'll just join in. This is not for games. This is a gift to your spiritual evolution, and treat it as such. It is sacred. Show up from that space, honoring yourself. So that's what I will say in regards to that. Now, you did bring up one thing that you kind of highlighted, is that there's some people that are looking to manifest certain things. This initial session, don't be trying to do anything. Don't be trying to manifest stuff. Most of your lack of manifestation happens due to the garbage that is standing between you and your dreams, goals, and desires. So you don't have to try to actively figure out how to manifest stuff. Actively get rid of the trash and the wall of garbage that sits between you and life. Life will give you everything. Life will open up the way for you to manifest anything like that when you want, how you want, if it's in alignment with your spirit, of course. And that's another topic, because most of us don't listen to the callings of our spirit, but that's the only thing you need to be in service to. So for those of you that are wanting to manifest things, your mindset is, how do I show up here and be courageous enough to see what comes up in this energetic process that is there for me to release, to heal, to let go of, so that now it's just me, this divine vessel connected to this divine all that is going to create, manifest, and bring everything that is in alignment for my spirit.
Yes, definitely. I think that's surrender and commitment. Commit with yourself and surrender on the sense and let it go and just give yourself to the experience. I think it's the best advice for a first session overall. I would like to share about the space. So I suggest to the people to have a very private space, comfortable, where they can lay down. Does it's if you are with your partner, for example, you can share the same space with your partner, right?
Here's what I would recommend. These are all very good questions. Thank you
Mhm.
for bringing it to our attention. So you definitely want to have a place where you have some privacy. And what I mean by privacy is that you don't want to be interrupted by people walking by. And you also want to be in a space where you feel comfortable enough to feel yourself and allow for whatever expression comes through that. So some people may not feel a whole lot. And I'm saying that they may not feel a whole lot, not because a whole lot is not happening, but because you have to be in your body to feel. And that's going to be the thing that I say now at the beginning of our experience, throughout our experience. Stay in your body. Stay in your body. If you stay in your body, a whole lot is going to happen. So when that happens, for many people, there's a strong emotional release that comes up. That may include some crying, it may include some laughing, it may include whatever the body feels is necessary to discharge whatever has been held. So just to have that private space, and even if you don't have this emotional release, you want to have a space where you can just be with yourself to feel, right? So just like if you were to do some kind of a maybe spiritual meditation practice, although I am a big promoter of meditating 24/7 and not having it be a meditation practice. But for those of you that do some kind of a practice like that, you usually want to have a private space and a place where you can lie down comfortably. You're going to lie down on your back, you're going to relax. You're just there to receive. You're there to feel yourself in a relaxed way. So that's pretty much all that you will need. And I always say to have an extra pillow close by so that should you need to have a strong emotional release, you can muffle your sounds if you need to without the neighbors feeling like something's going on next door. And it's a very simple process. It's a very simple process, and it's a very powerful process. And more importantly is it's our capacity to get to know ourselves in a much, much deeper way outside of the conditioning that we have taken on throughout our lifetime.
If you are with your girlfriend, boyfriend,
Yes.
wife,
Yeah. So I don't really know what to say there, to be honest. It, Here's what I want to say. I know that a lot of people are going to want to be there together. So do whatever you want. However, in my personal opinion, knowing how people do things in their lives, I feel that for them to have the most impact individually in their own process, they probably want to be in a space where they're by themselves. And I'm saying that because, if for some reason I really feel to cry, and because many of us don't have partners that we're really vulnerable and intimate with, so it's just kind of like having this other human there, we can have quite a bit of resistance to being that vulnerable in the presence of another. So if that's your experience, then I would recommend that both of you maximize on this opportunity by maybe taking separate rooms in this process. But if you have a lot of intimacy, deep intimacy, and I'm talking about deep intimacy from a place of vulnerability, of being okay, being seen, having some very vulnerable feelings in front of each other, then you can of course share the same space. Again, for these initial experiences, me personally, I always look at my life from a place of my own individual transformation, exploration first. And then how do I bring that into a relating, right? So if I'm going to go through something very moving, potentially moving for myself, this is not about me grabbing my partner's hand and then trying to do things to them while I'm in this process. It's about me being with me. Because as I transform me, as I vibrate higher, as I clean out all of this garbage, my goodness, will my partner benefit from all of that? And will our relating benefit from all of that? So you want to have the least distractions that take you out of yourself. This is between you and you. And when it's between you and you, and when you go that deep in yourself, the quality of your relationship, the quality of your sex, everything in your couple changes dramatically. And I also want to point out this, just on the topic of wanting to manifest things. When we change what happens for us internally, everything outside of us changes. Our external world is a direct mirror reflection of what happens internally. So it's quite common that a lot of things that seem to be unrelated, such as getting a job or a promotion at work, or a partner comes along, or the quality of the relationship with your partner gets better, or sometimes relationships end because they were never meant to happen and work for you. So a lot of things out externally can start to then shift and mold into this new reflection here, this new way of being here, which the external world will start to reflect accordingly. So a lot of things can start to shift and change for an individual. And of course, you know, we're doing this as a starting point in Love Academy, but this is something that I plan to offer on a regular basis through Energy Tune as my own offering. So this is a beautiful jump start for people, a beautiful way for them to get a kickstart, especially during this very interesting time, getting on the right track, and then follow-ups that can be there to keep nourishing those seeds.
Definitely. Well, we're honored on sharing this to co-create this together with Energy Tune, and I I experience it, and it's so it is something so relevant in my life. I'm very very excited to promote it, and I'm very also intrigued on the to form these energy fields that will happen. All these
Yes,
people from all over the world that we will host, and that will be something very unique, I think, very,
yeah.
very unique, what we will
I'm getting
propose in this event.
goosebumps.
Yes,
I'm
me
getting
too.
goosebumps just
I
listening to
felt them.
you. it's it really, we we really underestimate the power of each and every one of us and the significance of each and every one of us when we come together for something. And our ability to vibrate higher as one is literally going to transform the world. I mean, for me, this offering is so dear to my heart. It really, it's not like the sessions, it's not like the workshops. This is something that has been so sweet in my heart as the medicine that humanity needs to literally transform our collective into a more empowered way of existence outside of the slave culture that we have been
No, definitely, definitely. I think it's a very unique opportunity to so the online system can provide us in the sense to form this energy field to be part on our individual process of something bigger, and as you say, to definitely to really create a global unity. So it's very
there. Yeah.
interesting, and we're so honored to Spark to have be part of this first trigger on this experience. Thank you very much, Sasha. Anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I think that's enough for people to either vibe with it or not, you know, and I really wanted for this little video that we do to create exactly that. I know that I'm not for everybody. I know this work is not for everybody. I know the things that I share are not for everybody. But for those people that vibe with it, I want it to be for them, because I always wished that, which I had, you know, I had come across certain people, but to have that support, you know, to be in a world surrounded by what the media feeds us, to be in a world surrounded by what we call society. You know, the first you have your parents, then you have the school system, then you have the whole job system, the money system. We have so much propaganda fed to us in so many ways, and to just have the support to plow out those people into a place of empowerment, into a place of free thinking, which is something that people no longer exercise. The capacity to feel and think as you are, to have that freedom is such a gift. And that's what I want to do. I want to create the environment to gift people with the invitation to their freedom. Ashe.
Beautiful. Ashe. Thank you very much, Sasha. So everybody,
You're welcome.
thank you. And well, please uh, reach us through our social channels on loveacademy.org, on
Yes.
Instagram, on Facebook, also through Sasha Cobra channels in Instagram and Facebook, and her webpage, Sasha Cobra.
Yes.
And so for any inquiries, any questions that you might have, and I'll share you all the information, where to get the access for this experience. And well, we really uh, we are very excited to get your energy on this energy field that we're proposing. So thank you very much, Sasha. Thank you very
Yes.
much. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. And it's an honor to share with all of those beautiful souls that show up for this experience. It's truly, truly an honor for me. So thank you for being the inspiration for all of this, Cita.
Gracias, Sashita. Gracias como siempre. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.